This is Friday Happy Hour, networking for female entrepreneurs and single card tarot readings for those who want one. If you want one, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just chat. Or Joe can ask questions if he wants to. Yes, you may have one. Is it Charlie or Carly? You have to give me a question first, though. Brianna. Oh, yeah. I was just guessing by your profile. So, Brianna, do you have a question for me? Would you like the name Charlie might be that maybe you had that name before once upon a time, or should I pursue law school? Well, we'll see what the cards have to say. It's a big commitment to go into law school. A lot of years, at least over here. I think it's 7 years of school plus something after that. Don't rely on the card alone. Check in with how you feel first and foremost. The major you don't like. I know that's not fun. I tried 3 times before I finished. And I still ended up with a university degree that didn't work. So we all have those kinds of challenges. Well, the card that came up speaks of releasing what no longer serves you and drop some of the things you hang on to. You may run into some obstacles, but don't let them get you down. Don't hold back. Express your opinions and emotions. Going to law school may actually cause you some pain, but that's pretty much to be expected. I guess if you go, it will be a learning opportunity, at least. The card I got up wasn't one of the most positive cards in the deck. Let's put it that way. I'm not waiting for you. No, I was thinking. No, it's a three of swords. The death card would actually be a better one for this question, because then it's about a big transformation. So the death card is actually not the worst. I think the Tower is worse, and then the Ten of Swords is still worse than that. So there are a lot of cards that can have negative interpretations, but it all depends on the question and the situation. Don't you have any questions today, Joe? Did you use them all up last time? Thinking. There's nothing wrong in thinking. Then you come up with a better question. I asked a lot of good questions on Wednesday. So I'm going to put those up on YouTube. Yes, it's my intuition. The cards are just a tool. Maybe I can ask you a question. Do you have a better suggestion for what time I can run this? Because it's very late over here, and I can't really stretch it any later. Why the cards are needed? Well, if your intuition is strong enough and you know what the message means, then you don't need them. But there's support. You had a guy on your mind. Well, the Three of Swords is often about pain and a broken heart. So everyone is shopping. Yeah, but I've seen it throughout. I've done this for 8 weeks now, I think. And it seems like people are coming on to Blab just as I'm about to end this. So, yeah, you got your heart broken. Okay, then that might be why that specific card turned up. Sometimes they speak about things that are totally unrelated to the actual question. It is Thanksgiving, but there's a whole world who doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving, including us in Norway. I was thinking about doing it in the morning. For me, that would be late night for the US. Say if I do it at 9 a.m. my time. It is actually midnight in California. Yeah, I have some friends in the Netherlands too who run their things in the morning. Hi there. Welcome, Liz. Yeah, now I can see what it says. It's sometimes a little bit fuzzy on the screen. Are you in business, and what kind of business are you in? I couldn't tell from your profile. Jewelry business. A fellow crafter. I just put up a new line of amulets. You're welcome, Rihanna. They're actually, you know, those small charm bottles, glass bottles with a cork stopper. I'm using those instead of amulet bags this time, and I'm hanging them on an eye hook and a jump ring on a leather strap. And I'm filling them with crystals and herbs and runes and oils, things like that. So instead of a make-believe charm pendant, they get a real charm pendant. I have one for female entrepreneurs because that's my main group of customers, for them and their business. And then I have one for daughters, one that a mother can get for her daughter. Love the feedback there. Oh, cool. Very nice. That sounds beautiful. I like things like that. Tell you about those amulets. Well, how I see amulets, or what an amulet is, or about those specific amulets, Joe? Yeah, commercial stuff earns income, yeah, but then you can do the less commercial, more artsy stuff on the side. You can still have an income and then start building your style, because that will also earn you an income as long as you get it seen. All of the above. Oh dear. Well, an amulet, as I see it, might be different from other practitioners. I see it as a combination of objects with magical properties and a physical reminder. It reminds you to actually do the work because you're not going to get it for free. Well, I have been a witch since 1994, so yes, I believe in magic, but not the Harry Potter stuff. Tarot cards aren't magic, no, but some people who practice magic use tarot cards. And you can use tarot cards in magic because they have their own properties that you can employ for that. But in themselves, the tarot cards are not magic. An example of magic that you believe is real. It's not quite law of attraction. It is manifestation through will. That if you focus on an outcome or on an intention, if you focus and you work towards it, it will come to you a lot easier than if you only do the work and you don't focus your intention on what you want. So, and there's also energy work that has been proven to work. Some kinds of healing. I'm not a healer myself, but there are instances where energy work has been really helpful. Well, how magic works, it's hard to say because it's not something you can touch. It's not something you can measure. So it's hard to say how it works. And there are so many different kinds of magic that things work in different ways. When it comes to the amulets, it's the properties of the items in combination with your own effort. Well, you can be sure it's real because you experience it. And when you see that it made a difference, then you know. The same as some people believe in ghosts, some don't, but if you see one, I bet you would. Well, there are some examples where there would be no doubt. If you see a person passing through you, I suspect you would call it a ghost. I haven't seen any myself because I'm not sensitive in that kind of way. But I do have friends who see them quite frequently and who also help them pass on. Just your imagination or an hallucination. When something happens to you that you had no idea was coming, you weren't thinking about it. Maybe you were cooking dinner and all of a sudden something happens, then it's hard to say that it's your imagination. It's a different thing if you're out walking late at night and you're scared and you're dreaming up all these terrible scenarios, then it would be your imagination. Hallucination. While hallucinations don't usually happen in everyday life, hallucinations usually happen if someone has ingested something hallucinatory or had a bump on the head or something like that. It doesn't happen out of the blue. I have not seen any ghosts because I don't know why, but they keep away from me. Maybe they don't want to mess with a witch, I don't know, but even the ones who I know are psychic have said this house is so calm, it's incredible. Because it's an old house, there should be something here, but there's not. So they keep away from me for some reason. And I'm not a psychic. That's the reason why I haven't seen any ghosts. And it also depends on how you see the world. If you believe that the present world is the only world, then it might be harder to believe in spirits, ghosts, and folklore entities. But if you have a different worldview where you have multiple dimensions, for example, then it's more likely that something may pass over from one dimension to another, saying hello. And if I'm not mistaken, science has proven the probability of multiple dimensions. I just caught you on the science, didn't I? Well, science has also proven that when you die, a brief moment after death, you are slightly lighter than you were right before. So, where did that energy go? I spoke to an ethics teacher about that in 1990 already. I don't know where the article is now. I read it in a science magazine in the late 80s or early 90s, so it might be hard to find. I think it may have been a German or a Swedish researcher. I think the object was to find out if we had a soul or something like that, and they checked the number of people and found them marginally lighter after death. Why it isn't well known? Well, it all depends on what money wants you to know. Just look at non-carbon based fuels. How easy has it been to get those through? You had electric cars when the T-Ford came out. So money talks in a lot of areas, both health and other fields. One of the reasons why it may not now, and they're not paying to keep it quiet, but they're not paying to do further research either. And researchers need money as much as anyone else. Yeah, it's also in Germany and Sweden, we aren't as spiritual as Americans, so the subject of the soul isn't as interesting. I can see if it's wild stuff, but it's an interesting subject. It all depends on if you want to go out on that edge or not. There were people who didn't believe we would ever leave the atmosphere because of the laws of physics. But we did. Or someone did. I didn't. I do have direct experience. Being in the field for over 20 years, it would be hard not to. I don't do that much for myself. But I've had very good results from my amulets, for example, and I've also had good results for rituals I've done with other people. And of course, my readings, I have rave reviews for those. And when it comes to specific magic, see, I've done a couple with a friend that I've seen the effect of in her life, and I've also done a couple for myself that had, if not instant, then almost instant effect. Once it happened the next day, and the other time it took a month, but it still happened. There's not empirical evidence. There's nothing you can count or touch. or observe happening, but it's something you can feel. Hi, Trisha. Lovely to see you here. Joe's asking me questions about magic today. Personal benefits that I get from my work. It's connected to my spirituality, so it's a way to practice my spirituality. So I get the spiritual connection. That's a personal benefit. And if I do work for others, like the readings or the amulets, of course, there's a monetary benefit as well, but that I see as an exchange of energy. Practical benefits. I can get things done without working as hard for it sometimes. Most of the time, I actually do the work. You want to sit with me, Trisha? Ask a question for the cards if you like. I'm just holding space for female entrepreneurs and answering Joe's questions. And he's a scientist, and he's asking really interesting questions about tarot and magic. I like answering his questions because they make very good videos afterwards. And it makes you think. So it's actually good to have someone outside the field asking questions, because then you can answer them in a way that regular people might understand too, instead of using any jargon or terms. I'm posting my videos on my YouTube channel.
Hi, everybody. Right now, we are waiting for Linda to get back on because apparently she needs to reboot her system. And I am just, jumping in until she gets back on. So this is her Friday happy hour with networking tarot readings for female entrepreneurs. And I just asked her a question about, let me read it to you. I was asking her, I'm currently doing a lot of holistic health options and looking into holistic health avenues. So I asked her if that is the way for me to go. And she ended up, I believe, pulling a card saying, you may have to listen to your inner wisdom for the final decision. You may also do a deep dive into an esoteric subject. That might be the alternative health thing.
Well, Blab is being difficult tonight. That's just the way it is sometimes. I've had Blabs completely disappear and not be able to reconnect at all. I hope they get out of beta soon and give us a stable version. Yeah, if it works. Would be nice. But if you want to know the card, Trisha, I got the High Priestess reversed. And that's usually about not using your intuition enough, although I know you do use yours. So that's why I thought it might be that you need to dive into one of those esoteric subjects, and that might be your alternative health option. Yes, my amulets are for sale on my web shop. The glass amulets are only custom made off of my library site, which I'm going to give you the link to. In the menu on this site, you will also find links to the web shop for the other amulets. And for those watching on YouTube later, I will include the link in the description for the video. A friend of mine actually came up with the idea for the daughter amulets, and I thought it was really good, so I grabbed it, because I think a lot of mothers and fathers, of course, would like to bring their best wishes to their daughters. Yeah, if they're custom made, I really need to talk to you. Otherwise, I can't custom make it to your description. I need your description to do it, of the properties you want in it. The glass amulets for now are custom. I will be putting some generic ones up in the web shop as soon as I make some. I haven't had the materials for so long, so I haven't had time to actually make up some generic ones. They will appear in the web shop after a while, probably sometime after the new year. The items in the amulet have magic properties. If they do any magic for you, that's up to what you focus on and what you believe in. If you don't believe in magic, you can use it as a reminder same way you would tie a string around your finger or put a post-it on your fridge that you shouldn't be eating the cake. And no problem, Trisha. It happens. The stuff in them has magic properties, yes. All crystals, all materials, all plants, trees, berries, fruits, etc. have specific properties that they can be used for magically. I've launched 2 new kinds of amulets, one for female entrepreneurs and their businesses, and one for daughters that the moms and dads can buy for them. I can't send a file through here, but I can show you an empty bottle. The finished ones that I had, I've sent out. But I'm hanging these on a leather strap with an eye hook and a jump ring. And I'm filling them with runes, crystals, herbs, and oils, according to the intended use. It's hard to find words that will resonate with everyone. But say the first one I made was for a successful business coach, and I made it to help her conquer her visibility issues. That one was for public speaking, courage, self-confidence. Yeah, I'm creating amulets. That's probably what I've been selling for the longest time. I've been selling amulets or making amulets for people since '94. In the beginning, they were fabric amulets, then I turned them into leather amulets. Then came the pocket runes, and now I'm doing some bottle charms that they get a real bottle charm instead of a jewelry bottle charm. Yeah, I thought it was a great idea too. It was a friend who came up with the one for daughters, and I just had to jump on that one. Because a lot of parents want to give their wishes to their children. What are you working on right now, Trisha? Empath Playground sounds great. Holistic health practices. Also sounds good to me. I'm not a healer myself, but I've met a few. The one I trusted the most, and she's passed on now, the first thing she said once she saw me was, "That back, you can't do anything with it." And she didn't see me walk, she hadn't seen me stand up or sit down, she just saw me sitting in the chair, so she didn't have any visual clues that I had back problems. Yeah, you're learning about foods. Yeah, there's a lot to be said about eating the right kind of foods, and the scientists are coming to the conclusion now that everyone needs different foods. Different foods react differently with different people. So generic diet advice doesn't really work. Maybe they'll come around to the holistic approach after a while. Yeah, I saw it in the news today that they just published a report on how different people react to different foods. That sugar might be worse for some than others. Yeah, it's great for people, and it will clear up some illnesses. It will. Some people are more susceptible to, for example, diabetes too than others. I don't seem to be susceptible to it at all, but my husband is, so he got it. I didn't. You can ask stuff if you want to, Joe. I'll answer. Don't have to just sit there and watch if you don't want to. Mr. John Munson came in and disappeared, so he probably realized that this was not his field. I get a lot of those. People who drop by and disappear just as quickly as soon as they see the words witch, pagan, or tarot, or heathen, or things like that. Well, you don't monopolize my time if you ask a question, Joe. It's something that is of benefit to anyone else who watches. Salem, that would be a great place for me to visit too if I ever go stateside. The problem about witches and pagans in general is that if you ask 13 pagans or 13 witches about the definition of something, you will get 13 different answers. It's a very individual practice, and all the different religions under paganism are very different. And for each of those different pagan religions, everyone has their own definition and their own faith and their own practice. So it's very individual. There are some things that are common. There aren't that many. I would love to go to the island outside Sweden too. That is a place where they said the witches went on their journeys. That would be fun to see. It's just a Swedish island called Blåkulla, but they have one of those in Norway as well called Blocksberg, but there's nothing special about the place, but somehow everyone says that all witches went there. Same as a lot of people seem to think that all witches have some kind of connection to Salem, but there were witches here before Salem existed. Which direction you should go with the marketing of the program? Oh, thanks. I'm glad to hear it. I love to hear when I'm spot on. Direction. Let's see if I can find something on direction. I could probably come up with an idea on my own if I knew more about it, but since it's Friday happy hour, I'll pull a card. I have that kind of situation in my business too. I'm a bit too close to it to be able to see where the snag is myself. Right now, I do have a nagging buddy, an accountability buddy that gives me good ideas and is a good friend. But I am thinking about combining my work even further. That I'm not getting rid of the readings and I'm not getting rid of the amulets, but I thought I might bring them into the coaching that I do because it would be more authentically me. I just have to write it up in a way that in a way that they understand it. Intuitive Creative Guide says most of it for those who know what it is, but for those who don't, it doesn't really say much for them. The card I got is that you have an opportunity right under your nose. You need to be open to new possibilities. It says that you should embrace opportunities that are being offered to you, that are already being offered. Then I would say that you should really go for it and also reconnect with past clients, past contacts that might have an interest in it. I bet you have some. Just a few. Yeah, I bet you have more than me, at least when it comes to guidance. I do have quite a few previous clients when it comes to readings, but not that many when it comes to coaching. Glad to hear it, that you liked it. I have about 6 minutes left today. I will be back with another Witchy Wednesday on Wednesday and another Friday happy hour on Friday. But Trisha, do you have a suggestion for a better time of day to do this? Because in the last 8 weeks, it hasn't been easy to get people in. Wednesday is the same time as today. I haven't decided on the subject for the Witchy Wednesday. It's usually something concerning the esoteric fields. It's been networking for pagan entrepreneurs. I've done networking for tarot readers. 8 p.m. my time makes it 2 p.m. on the East Coast and 11 a.m. on the West Coast. So it would work for those who are at home at that time. Yeah, I can try it earlier too. If I do it at 9 a.m. my time, it's midnight in California. I do have my mornings and I have my late evenings. So I'll try. I'll see what I can do about it. See if I can change that after New Year's. But I think I'm going to stick to this time until I stop for the year. I'm only going to do a couple more before I take my Yule vacation. I have to remember to make sure I have followed you. Yes, I have. Some might call it stalking, others call it being attentive and actually following the people who follow you. But I like to keep in touch with the people. I even had a joke. Even though it says he's just a scientist, but he shows a lot of interest in this stuff. I actually have a scientific background myself from school, and I worked with computers, so that's sort of a scientific field too. Yeah, I did computer system maintenance and repair for my associate's degree, and I worked in computer systems maintenance and repair and support for 8 years. Yeah, there's a lot of integrated stuff. And having computer knowledge definitely helps when you have to run your own website and web shop and stuff like that. I wrote my first website in 2003 in Notepad. So if I hadn't had the knowledge, I wouldn't have had a website at that time. There's a lot of integration between science and the esoteric fields too. There's some crossovers when it comes to how things work. If you bundle everything up under one with divination, empaths, healers, psychics, the paranormal, and all of that if you bunch it up into one, that's what I meant with esoteric fields. But it also has the same, that energy doesn't go away, it only changes form. And you have that in science too. Same as the for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. I think in time, if scientists show enough interest in it, then they may figure out how it works. Well, I'm going to end this for tonight. Thanks for keeping me company, Trisha and Joe. That will be all for me. Have a great evening, since you will both be awake longer than I will. And I'll be back Wednesday and Friday next week. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Trisha.